Welcome in, y'all. Today we're going to be covering the Dallas Cowboys, a team coming off a less than pleasant year, and they're looking to rebound this year. They get the kickoff game week 1 Thursday night in Philadelphia against the defending Super Bowl champions. And this is a team that I think is a bit of a mixed bag. They're a team that they have a lot of star playmakers at certain spots, but they also have some gaping holes. So I think when you get that, you're going to have the ability to win some big games against big teams. But then I also think you are vulnerable to losses against some lesser opponents. So I think you'll kind of see that play out in my schedule prediction here. And we'll start off week 1 at Philadelphia. I think it's a 7-point spread for this. I think that might be a bit large, but I don't think the Cowboys win this one. You can't rule it out, of course, divisional opponents week 1, but I think it's too much. Eagles coming off the Super Bowl, they're hyped up, got that home crowd behind them on the Thursday kickoff. So I will take the Eagles to do that one. And then the Cowboys get a nice little week 2 home game against a weaker Giants team this year. And while I think the Giants are much improved from last year, their schedule is brutal, so their record's going to look rough. And I think the Giants will put up a fight in this one. I really do, but I do lean Cowboys ultimately. And then week 3 in Chicago, this is that 4:25 Eastern time slot on Fox with Brady Burkhart. And this will be a fun one. The Bears have a lot of expectations this year. There's talks about them being a surprise team. Caleb Williams kind of making a second-year jump with Ben Johnson. So we will see. And I think it's going to be a really good game. I really think it could go either way. I think these are two teams that we don't know everything about yet. So it's a bit of an unknown. But I will lean Chicago at home here. I like the Bears. I believe in what they're capable of this season. And then week 4, Dallas is home on Sunday Night Football against the Green Bay Packers. And the Packers are a team that have not lost at Jerry World. And I know, it hasn't been Jordan Love the whole time, and stats like that don't necessarily mean anything. But I do still lean the Packers here on this one on Sunday night. But again, another game I think could go either way. Then they get week 5 on the road in New York. Maybe a potentially like a tricky spot here, especially if they were coming off a win, where the Jets are probably a bit better than people might be thinking. But I do have the Cowboys winning in this one on the road to get back to 2-3. Then they're on the road in Carolina, a much improved Carolina Panthers team. And Bryce Young really came on at the end of last season. They were looking good. They're looking to take that next step. I'm not sure how big of a step they'll take, but I think the Panthers are a team you can no longer overlook, especially if you're going into their house. And I think early in the season, the Panthers get the win. Cowboys drop to 2-4. Definitely a rough start to the season, but this is definitely not an easy schedule. If we just pause for a second and look at this schedule, you have your divisional opponents, which are tough enough, Eagles, Commanders, and as far as fourth place teams go, the Giants aren't too bad. Then you also have the Chiefs, Lions, Vikings, Chargers, Packers, Bears, Broncos. This is a tough schedule. But moving on, carrying on, week 7 here. I think at home, remember what I said earlier, I think a little week 6 and 7 here is a great example of this. They're a team capable of losing to lower level opponents, maybe like the Panthers, but then they're also a team, I think, especially at home, capable of winning some big games, and I think they do that here week 7 against the Commanders. I think they get a win and go to 3-4. And then week 8, a very tough one on the road at Denver. This is one of those 4:25 Eastern on CBS. Tony Romo, Jim Nantz on the call. And this is a tough one for them. I think the Broncos have their way in that one. I think it's a tough day for Dallas, and they fall to 3-5 on the season before coming home for what I believe is a Monday night football game against the Arizona Cardinals, a Cardinals team that I think should do fairly decent this year. They've made some improvements. They're looking to make a jump. This should be a great Monday night game. But I think the Cowboys are going to need the win here more. I think they get it at home in prime time and move to 4-5 on the year. And then they have a bye week followed by another Monday night football game, this one in Vegas. And this is a tricky game. Vegas could be sneaky good this year. They've definitely made improvements big time, especially in the coaching game. And it's a tough spot. and it's one I think could go either way, but I do lean to the Cowboys on this one. And now a week 12 and 13 stretch. That is a very tough two games there. Week 12, though, I will say I'm going to take the Cowboys in this one. I think they're able to get one against the Eagles there. And, the NFC East, how it goes, it's two teams. Although I think I do potentially, I think I do have the Eagles repeating this year. But God, what's the stat? It has been forever since a team won two in a row NFC East titles. So I don't know. I don't know if that means someone else has to jump up or if the Eagles are going to fall back. I mean, like I said, I have the Eagles, I think, repeating this year, but trends will say otherwise. Week 13, home against the Chiefs. I think I said this in the Chiefs one. This feels like the Cowboys Super Bowl. Not to say that they don't have Super Bowl aspirations, not to say that the season's much bigger than it, but this is one of those games in Jerry World on Thanksgiving. They're just going to be they're going to be all about it. When the Chiefs come to town, and I think they sneak out a Thanksgiving upset here and move to 7-5. The Chiefs won a lot of close games last year against a lot of them against mediocre opponents. So we'll see how that affects them this year. I do still expect the Chiefs to be good, make the playoffs, probably win that division. But I think they certainly take a step back from 15-2. Week 14 on the road and a Thursday night football game in Detroit. I'm going to take the Lions here. I think that's a tough spot for Dallas. Coming off two big wins like that, I do not see them. I don't trust this team enough to continue that stretch. Then this next one, which I believe it might be a Sunday night football game against Minnesota, is one I flip-flopped on. The Vikings are a very, very good team this year, and frankly would not be surprised to see them win this game. I think J.J. McCarthy is a fine replacement for Sam Darnold, who I don't even think is that good, and that roster is still amazing. But I do think at home the Cowboys get it done. They moved to 8-6. Things were looking nice, but then you have two tough games here. The Chargers come to town, and the Chargers should have a pretty good record here, and I don't know if what you would call an upset in this. I don't know who you would have favored, but I am going to go with the Chargers in this one. I think they come into Dallas and give the Cowboys a loss. They drop to 8-7. Then week 17, they travel on the road to Washington, a team that I have them beating earlier in the year. I do think Washington takes a small step back, maybe not in play, but in record, because their schedule was quite easy last year. If you go back and look at it, and they had some things go their way. Their defense still isn't that amazing. So, but that being said, I do still like the Commanders. Jaden Daniels is amazing. He definitely is that guy, and I think they are absolutely no chance they get swept by Dallas, and the Cowboys fall to 8-8. By this point, this is a game I've kind of gone back and forth on. Depends, A, if the Cowboys are playing for something, and B, how good the Giants are really doing at this point. Who even is the Giants quarterback? I think I might have taken the Giants in that video, but I'm thinking about it here in the moment. And if they truly are 8-8 coming in this scenario, I think they do get a win here because they likely, mind you, I still think at 9-8 they might miss the playoffs off tiebreakers. I'll have to check how I have the other records going, but they would likely still technically be alive going into this, and a Giants team that would more than likely be eliminated at this point, less to play for, and heck, they might even be hoping they lose, get a higher draft pick. So 9-8 for the Cowboys, and this is one that really you could argue it up or down, in my opinion. You could argue it down. You could say those games against Chiefs, Eagles, Commanders, for example, there's no way to win those, right? And then you could counter argument. You could say teams like the Panthers and the Bears, like those are games they win, or home against the Chargers or Packers. So, it's tough. It's tough to get a gauge on this team. Like I said, when you have some star players on the roster, like big names, but then outside of those big names, you have a lot of question marks. I think it creates a very interesting season with a lot of interesting games. Like I said, I think dropping some games maybe they shouldn't, and then winning some games you might not expect them to, which at the end of the day just kind of evens out, and you see this record, I think 9-8, 8-9. I think one of those two records will be their record, 9-8 or 8-9. That's what I feel feel fairly good about that. But let me know what y'all think. Definitely an interesting one to predict here. But next up, we will do the Washington Commanders. They went 12-5 last year. What will they do this season?